Sarah Huckabee Sanders answering several questions about, of course, Michael Cohen, Paul Manafort, and many other things. Jay Powell, trade, Venezuela, and, of course, would he be pardoning anybody that, of course, has been charged? And that happened in the last 24 hours. Joining me now, I want to bring in Fox News contributors Jason Chaffetz, Doug Schoen, and CIO for Kingsview Asset Management, Scott Martin. Let's get to all the things that we talked about. You know, Scott, I'm going to go out on a limb here because I was actually looking forward to hearing what she said about the criticism against Jay Powell, the Fed chair. He gave this Reuters interview earlier this week. He criticized what Powell was doing. They haven't talked, we just found out, and met since Powell took the position of Fed chair. I found that fascinating.
Yeah, I do, too. Now, there could be some setup here. There could be some interplay that we don't know of yet as far as Cheryl, maybe the president trying to set up the Fed for what, listen, is inevitably going to be an economic slowdown. We're in the longest bull market that we've seen in history. So there's likely going to be a fall at some point, right, just based on timing of everything. So maybe the president is trying to set up the Fed to say, hey, it's not my fault. Yeah. It's the Fed's fault for doing what they're doing as far as policy. But I will tell you this really quick. I think Jay Powell is doing a great job. And I think if you read between the lines on what the Fed has talked about in their last, say, few minutes releases as it pertains to how they've raised interest rates, sure. This is a Fed, my friends, that is a hawk in at least liquidity clothing, because they're ready to come to the rescue of this economy if things slow down.
Longest bull market anniversary. We hit it today. This is the longest bull market ever. Jason, let's talk about what really was the main focus of reporters, Jason, and that was Michael Cohen and Manafort. Is the president getting pardoned? There has been no discussion. Did the president do anything wrong? No, he did nothing wrong. He's not been charged with anything. She was asked repeatedly, about where is the president on XYZ issues, and she deflected it for the most part.
She was. This press conference is good. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is about as good a press secretary as you're going to get, and she really didn't. First of all, the questions were lame at best. She didn't really answer anything or move the markets. The markets aren't reacting in any particular way based on this press conference. The Manafort issue, I think everybody's recognizing, has nothing to do with Donald Trump or anything to do with the campaign and whatnot. The Cohen situation is a bit more serious because it could be the precursor to something much more serious. The fact that Lanny Davis is now counsel for Mr. Cohen is an indicator. I mean, he was heavily involved in the Clinton years. And so for the fact that Cohen has a Clinton associated attorney doesn't bode well for the president.
Well, no. And you know what, Doug, also, she was asked if, I'll get to the security clearance issue in a second with you, but she was asked repeatedly, is he going to be pardoning? He said that these are good guys, Michael Cohen, Paul Manafort, feel sorry.
I think he distinguished between Cohen and Manafort. Manafort, a good guy, Cohen, less so.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the security clearance issue then, because she was asked, is this just the president? How are you doing this? What about a committee? Who is he consulting if he's going to start to revoke security clearances of former CIA directors, for instance?
I was gratified that she spoke of a commission and a process to review the whole issue of security clearances. It isn't immediately clear to me that people who have served in the intelligence community necessarily need to keep their clearances, but I may be wrong. There may be overarching reasons. But as I sit here, again, I don't like it being done on an ad hoc basis. On the other hand, I don't like a CIA director accusing the president of committing treason. So I think the commission is a good idea. I'd love to learn more about that.
I would, too. I also wanted to hear more about the issue of trade, especially because the Chinese delegation is now arriving in Washington, Scott. And we've heard this from the president already, low expectations, in particular for the Chinese delegation meeting with the U.S. Is this, in your mind, just a negotiating tactic to try and pressure Xi Jinping to come to the table and to stop what's becoming a trade war?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Cheryl, as you and Gary Kay talked about before the briefing, the pressure's on China right now, because if you look at how their markets have reacted, you look at kind of these secret or, say, backroom kind of liquidity efforts that the Chinese government is now making to try to stimulate their economy, which we're told, by the way, grows at what, like 7% per year? Yet there's problems in their stock market and many other problems, I believe, percolating underneath the surface. So you put those two things together between Trump's commentary and the fact that the Chinese markets are in turmoil. I think you have a lot of pressure on China and the fact that they're probably going to have to come to the table sooner or later and get serious about making a deal with us.
I'm glad, Jason, that you brought up the issue that we really didn't see market reaction, and luckily we didn't heavy reaction to the Fed minutes that came out at the top of the hour. But, going back to some of the questions, Fox News' John Roberts asked, I thought, a very good question. Said, how do you distinguish between what is a finance contribution? Did he violate campaign finance laws with regards to the Michael Cohen payments to the two women? What did you make of that? You're somebody that is, living your life in politics for so many years. This is more your speed than I think the rest of us.
The fact that the president, if this allegation is true, the president came with his own money to the table for this is the first indication. And the second indication is it's entirely plausible that the reason this money flowed to these women is he didn't want the exposure for his family. And the law is very specific on this. The FEC former chairman has written on this. If it's used for something that is going to directly affect the election, and nobody believes that it was going to affect the outcome of the election, then that would be a different scenario. But it is very plausible. Would a man potentially pay somebody to make sure that the information doesn't come out because of family reasons? I'm not here to defend it. I'm saying it's an ongoing issue for the president. The fact that his own attorney for some 10 years is out there now striking a deal and is potentially going to jail and is associated with the Clintons now, that's a problem.
That's a problem, and that's got to have the president worried. Doug, also, she started the briefing talking about the death of Molly Tibbetts, who we now have just learned was murdered by someone living in this country illegally. Do you think that's something that the Democrats are going to grab onto for the midterms? Is that going to become a rallying cry? Because healthcare and education don't really seem to be connecting for them right now.
Well, are the Democrats, I'm not understanding your question. Are the Democrats going to...
Up for re-election in the midterms, going to use the ICE issue, abolish
No, the ICE issue is a fringe issue for the far left. The Republicans certainly would like to make it a bigger issue. But in the scheme of things, what we saw today is that there's really no attention to the issue of immigration when you have two convictions,
but
guilty.
It polls as the number one issue for voters is about immigration. And the fact that the press corps didn't even ask about this horrific case shows how out of touch. They don't want to touch it. But I'm telling you, it's what touches the hearts of Americans.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm wondering if that's going to be something that these Democratic candidates are going to use.
It's largely the Trump voters who make it the number one issue. And look, I'm for comprehensive immigration reform. Jason and I have talked about it. Yeah. I'd love to see it get done, but there's zero chance it'll happen before the midterm.
Doug and I could solve it.
Absolutely.
You know what?
Give us a couple of minutes, we'll get it done.